Welcome to POSTCAST tonight after the Utah Jazz fall to the Oklahoma City Thunder by the final score of 101-98. But, you know, for a season that does not have particularly high expectations for some of the guys and how this team's going to play, if they play like this tonight, I think everyone's going to be ecstatic. This was a great night, and most importantly, the Thunder shoot 41% from the floor, 32% from the field. They score 101 points. I haven't done the math yet and run the advanced stats, but I can tell you, when you hold someone to 4 of 17 shooting in the fourth quarter, you are playing some defense, and that's what they did tonight.
And again, we've said this many times during the preseason that this is something they're going to have to hang their hat on as far as on the defense end of the floor. But, you know, this is a basketball game that the fans got a chance to see what these young guys are going to be in the future. Now, the more you play like this, the better you get. And the expectations get a little higher, not only for the fans, but for us and everyone else, because you start to see more potential in certain guys. Some guys playing a little bit different role than what they're used to playing, and hopefully they get better at it. But the potential is there, and expectations, I think, will start to grow there as well.
Well, the Utah Jazz got a surprise effort tonight that maybe as much as what anyone's talking about. Not necessarily out of Alec Burks, who had a poor preseason, which kind of reminds you how much preseason really matters, but out of Mike Harris, a well-traveled to China, to Puerto Rico, all around the world. He's been trying to play basketball. He graduated, I think, from Rice about 10 years ago. Maybe it was 7 years ago. He was the D-League MVP at one point, and he's had cups of coffee in moments, and tonight he came out. He battled the second-best player in the world in Kevin Durant. He got into him. He was physical, and he changed the game for the Utah Jazz.
And you can see he has some experience and not shy about, you know, playing the game. And you had to be very pleased. But I know the coaching staff liked him from the start. Did not get a lot of playing time early in preseason, but I kind of knew that he was one of those players that was on the radar. Now, Dennis Lindsey's done a great job here, as they did in San Antonio, finding those guys that are diamond in the rough, the guys that no one's hardly looking at, bringing them in, and they start to fit into what you're trying to do.
You know what he kind of reminds me of is a poor man's Millsap. He's a little smaller than Paul, but he's got about the same outside shot. He's only 6'6", but he can kind of play a little three. Played some three tonight. He played some four. He kind of can switch in between. He's out of kind of the old school Paul Millsap without quite maybe the same level of athleticism, but probably a little bit more similar than we realize. When you go back to Paul was a second-round draft pick, he got the chance here. Mike has just never gotten a chance. He was the all-time leading scorer at Rice when he left. This is a guy who at 6'6", God didn't give him a gift. He didn't give him an NBA body, but he evidently gave him an NBA heart.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And why? You know, if you say, 10 years out of the league, and he continues to grind away and continue to chase that dream of playing in the NBA and work very, very hard, I think he's found the system now that's going to keep him around here, because if he continues to play the way he played here tonight, giving the Jazz something that they can hang their hat on in a short period of time out there on the floor, which is what you expect out of a guy coming off the bench.
You want to be able to look at an NBA player and you want to be able to say, well, I'm going to get exactly this out of him. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that at all this year with any of our guys, because if tonight's any bit of an example, Alec Burks opened the night so badly that I really wondered whether he was ever going to play again. I mean, he just threw the ball around. He was all over the place. And then he closed the night with a beautiful flurry. Enes Kanter's first half was really not particularly good. The defensive rebounding was really, really poor. And then he got going for a while. Rudy Gobert came in and was, I think his heart rate might have been 220 in his first stint. And then he calmed down. Derek Favors was brilliant early, wasn't as good late. I mean, it really was a interesting mix just inside of one game of kind of the variability of what we're going to see out of these guys.
And that's exactly right, of what we're going to see. And you know, you can look at this team and you say, okay, everyone's going to have their moments. Now, is that going to be from game to game, from quarter to quarter, or possession to possession? But you just get the feeling that that's the way it's going to be, and we'll just have to ride with these guys and hope they grind basketball games out. But I think one thing or a couple of things that Coach Corbin's going to have to really stress with this team is it's continue to play the defense that they played tonight and really work on the last 5 minutes of a basketball game.
And you can just see it. They just, you know, some guys made the plays, but I mean, I was on the broadcast with you, and we'll do this kind of consistently here for a while. But these are Alec Burks went to the free throw line. He had not with 20 seconds left. He had not taken a free throw in his entire NBA career in that circumstance. Derek Favors had taken 4. Gordon Hayward is not particularly good yet late in games. His 2 of 11, I think, shooting in the final 2 minutes of games. We saw him throw 2 air balls. Lake Gordon actually probably seemed kind of the most out of sorts of anyone on the roster. But on that note, we saw the effort tonight. We may see some out of sorts performances because what you're asking Gordon Hayward tonight is Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
He's supposed to match the number 1 guy on that team. That's matching Kevin Durant.
Yeah, right.
Kevin Durant is unreal.
Yeah, probably just not going to happen. But again, this is a young basketball team, young experienced basketball team, and we're probably going to say this for 82 games, and hope that they continue to get better and better and better to the point where you can see have a direction, with this basketball team. But the bottom line, David, is that the Jazz are going to have to just grind basketball games out, and they will get tested on this road trip because young, inexperienced teams play well at home.
Yes.
And now going out on the road, and altitude helps them a little bit. And I really thought a couple of the Perkins and I thought Durant got a little tired there early in the first quarter, in the first half. But the schedule doesn't help the Jazz here at all because they go out on that 5-game road trip, and it's kind of an inopportune time for a young basketball team.
It's only a 4-game road trip, I hope, or else they've added one.
Yeah.
You're not adding road. We're not going to have to play 43. The way the refereeing was tonight, I think they might make us play 43 road games instead of 41. Kevin Durant shot the second most amount of free throws he's ever shot in his entire NBA career tonight. And I'd have to say, just to flip the switch for a second to Oklahoma City's perspective, if I'm a Thunder fan, I do not like what I saw at all tonight. Serge Ibaka is supposed to pick up the offensive load. He did not. He had a very poor night. They do not have another player on that roster who can score with any consistency, and they need Russell Westbrook back. But even with Russell Westbrook back, they're missing that James Harden, Kevin Harden piece, or Kevin Martin piece. And there's nobody that I've seen and seen them twice that looks close to being that guy.
No one coming off the bench that is a threat, and that's what you need when you have a championship team like the Thunder had last season. When you have a threat to come off the bench and have a big night, just think, okay, the Miami Heat, they have LeBron James and they have Dwayne Wade, guys like that. But when you have that third guy coming off the bench that's a threat to have a huge night, then that puts you in the championship series.
Well, the Jazz fall tonight, 101-98. Great to be back with Jazz Nation. We really appreciate it. Ron, we've added a new feature called Jazz Notes. They're helmet stickers. Little Jazz Note helmet stickers. You can pretend that they're on the back of our guys' heads or on their jerseys. We gave out a few tonight. Alec Burks, he gave out 3 of them tonight. What was it that jumped out to you in those?
Well, the fact that he's just so athletic and acrobatic, if you want to put it that way, and he uses he uses that to his advantage. He sets this guy up, and the one time where he set the defender up, both defenders was trying to block the shot on the right side of the basket. He splits the two, comes underneath, puts a little English on it on the left side of the basket, and that's the type of Jazz notes that we look for and would try to give out.
Gordon Hayward got one for a gorgeous pass inside to Enes Kanter. Derek Favors' leadership and performance from Thurl Bailey earned himself. Thurl also just gave one for the team to come out fearlessly against a big-time team like the Thunder. Mike Harris for his defensive effort on Kevin Durant. And I don't give him out very often, but I'm going to give Mike Harris a second one because I really just love that effort by Mike Harris tonight, and I think he's the epitome of what the Jazz are looking for. Fourth quarter defense was fabulous tonight by the Jazz. Overall, good defensive effort. They fall 101-98. See you in Phoenix. Remember, empty the noggin for you as well as Jazz Game Rewind.